I'm Allison, and today we're playing Solonauts, which is the solitaire version of Chrononauts, but we're actually going to use the early American Chrononauts version. So with Solonauts, we're only doing the timeline. We're not worrying about the missions. We're not worrying about any of the artifacts or actions or time warps, any of those things. So we've separated those out of the main deck. We don't need to worry, because this is early American Chrononauts, it actually has these gold watches. Those are for Uber Chrononauts, which is where you combine both sets. But obviously we don't need that for this either. We just have the half of the deck only that deals with the timeline, which is just the inverters and patches. The challenge here is that, just like in the regular game, all of the IDs conflict. But instead of everybody having their own ID and then they're kind of fighting against each other and maybe you'll get your person home and win, instead you're just one person, you're trying to get 8 people home, all of them. So let's deal out 8 people here and see who we have. We have Jim, Rose, Maria, Time Walker, Dr. O'Reilly, Jeremiah, Steve, and Kevin. Oh, and there is one ID that you should leave out because, again, this is EAC. Spa Fawn is an ID that only works with, again, the Uber Chrononauts. So we'll set him aside. Well, we don't have to set him aside. We're setting all of these guys aside. We're done with those. So, just to review, you guys should already know how to play Chrononauts. The timeline here, just to review, these purple cards here with the large symbols, those are linchpins. Those are the parts of the timeline that you can affect. And then the light blue cards are ripple points. Ripple points are dependent on linchpins. So when you want to change a ripple point, you need to go back and actually change the event that's dependent on. Once it changes, there's a paradox that you need to patch with those orange cards. So on your ID cards, everybody has 2 patches and 1 regular history. So the patches are orange, and the blue represents real history. Blue-purple is regular history, and then orange-red is alternate. So we're going to deal ourselves a hand of 5 cards. Let me just shuffle these a little bit. One way, when I'm laying all this out, it's easy to remember the numbers of things because I've laid out the timeline, and then there's 8 people along the bottom, just like the size of the timeline. Now, I gotta say 8 might be a lot. It's hard to do. And really, that's kind of arbitrary because we laid it out this way because there's 8 cards, but it's very hard to get everybody home. So the other thing I do sometimes to remember how many cards I get is you can lay your hand out. You're playing by yourself, so you can play open hand. You can lay the hand out here on the side, and with the timeline and characters, it's 5. There's only just me, so I'm just gonna hold them in my hand. But before I even look at my hand, let's study out the IDs and characters, because this is where the real puzzle work happens, because a bunch of these people are going to agree, and also a bunch of them are going to disagree. So let's see what we have here. We have someone who wants Garfield to live, President Garfield, and somebody who wants Garfield to stay as usual. He died. So let's see, though they conflict. We have 2 people who want America the Beautiful to be our national anthem. That is obviously alternate history here instead of Star Spangled Banner. But I noticed that nobody really cares about the actual Star Spangled Banner, so that's good. Nobody conflicts on that particular patch. Let's see. 1904. So these 2 conflict. Boston Tea Party. Now, Boston Tea Party's up here. That's the regular history. I don't see anybody. Oh, Steve needs the Boston Cake Riot. We're going to have some conflict around that. Declaration of Independence. These 2 people both need the Declaration of Independence to be right. So let's see. We have Dutch arrive. So it can be tricky trying to find the same dates because, of course, they have different headlines. So let's see what's in our hand now. Because some of it's a handful of patches. So, Indian Peace Treaty of 1876. So the trick with patches is some of these aren't going to matter at all. Does anybody actually need this patch? Indian Peace Treaty. Rose needs that. So we don't want to throw that away. We have one pass through this deck to do all of this, to get all these people home. So if there's a patch here, you can't ever pull it out of the trash. So we need to keep this because she needs it to get home. Here's the Boston Cake Riot, as we just discussed. Steve appears to need that. Let's see. Dutch Arrive. I saw that. Jim needs that. Ooh, this is going to be tight. Oh, look. America the Beautiful is made our national anthem. That one is also needed. So, oh, hey, look at that. So two of these, one person has two of these. So we have both patches that Rose needs to get home. So that's promising. It means that we can maybe get her home. But on the other hand, we need every single one of these patches. And we only have one reverse fate. So now if we can play something in patch right away, that's two more cards we'll get to draw. If we go for, so nobody conflicts on America the Beautiful. Nobody wants the Star Spangled Banner. That is flipped only by 1814 here, British Burn, Washington, D.C. And the Indian Peace Treaty, which is the other thing to get Rose home, is 1876, and that is from Tecumseh. So nullified. So that's only a single card to flip that too. But so since we're putting down America the Beautiful for Rose and Jeremiah, we then have to be getting Jeremiah home before anybody who conflicts with him. Because once his patch is out there, we can't throw it away and return to normal history until he gets home. Because once the patch is gone, it's gone. So, but let's start with America the Beautiful. Sure, it's a much nicer song than the Star Spangled Banner. So let's unburn DC. So we're going to use this reverse fate to flip this linchpin to the British are stopped at Bladensburg. That's going to flip this one. And obviously, I mean, not obviously, it's also got another one, 1846, which is section of DC returned to Virginia. And because this is an or, it only takes one of those two symbols in order to flip over. Now, does anybody need DC returned? No, but we do have somebody who needs DC stays square. And that is good, because we can flip that and not worry about it blocking one of the other characters. So that's a great one to do first. So let's go ahead and play America the Beautiful. Now, unlike the regular game where you would get a reward for patching and get an extra card in your hand, this is just you. You're not competing to get your hand size up. It's all about getting people home, so we only just get to draw back up to 5. Now, we do still get to draw 2 cards because we just used 2. So, oh, looks like we drew 2 reverse fates. That's great because we got some work to do. Okay, so Rose also needs the Indian Peace Treaty, as we already established. That is from Tecumseh. But what else is that going to affect? Because we're going to see if it's going to affect some of the other people. So Rose right now is going first, and then probably Jeremiah because he's got the same America the Beautiful. Tecumseh dies 1876. Here's Custer's Last Stand, and that's the Indian Peace Treaty one we need to play. The other one is the Massacre at Wounded Knee. So nobody does anybody need the Massacre at Wounded Knee? No, that's good. 1890. Now the question is, does anybody need the other 1890? Either way, that's a good idea. Let's just do it. It won't be blocking anybody. Again, Tecumseh dies. We're going to save Tecumseh. There. And that's going to flip this one, Custer's Last Stand. Now, the Massacre at Wounded Knee for 1890 is an and. It means that in order for this to paradox, we would have to flip 2 linchpins, and we've only flipped one of them, so it actually doesn't even flip over now. It doesn't appear to matter to anybody. Actually, it does. We will eventually need to flip it all the way over for Time Walker, but that's okay. We're halfway there. So we are going to play the Indian Peace Treaty of 1876 and draw 2 more cards. And very excitingly, early on, it's really cool to get this happening so early in the game. She can go home. It is Texas gained statehood is her regular history, and then Indian Peace Treaty and America the Beautiful. Ding, 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 she goes home. That's very exciting. So now Jeremiah has to go home before we can get rid of this patch, although we don't really ever need to get rid of this patch because nobody needs it the other way. So we might think he needs to go home first, but let's see what else we have. So here we have drawn back 3 reverse fates. That's good. And we have, again, these patches that we need. Boston Cake Riot is Steve here. And Dutch Arrive is Jim. So these are people that maybe we could be working on. Now, the other one who's partway there is Time Walker, because one of his patches is partway there. But the patches we can play right now are these, and that's always good. So let's see if they mess anybody up. Southwind Civil War, 1860. Oh no, that's not this one. Dutch Arrive is his other one. Now, once we play these patches, though, we have to get these people home before other people who conflict. So it's fine if nobody conflicts with them. Like, does anybody need the Declaration of Independence? Time Walker does. He agrees on that, so that's good. So Dutch Arrive, Southwind Civil War. So here's Dutch Arrive. This is only the French. Dutch Arrive is here instead of the French helping us in the War of Independence. They were, what happens? I think they were repulsed. The French are destroyed, and instead we get help from the Dutch. So this is the Dutch Arrive, and this is instead of the British surrender at Yorktown. The Dutch come in instead. But what else does the French Arrive flip? 1783, Treaty of Paris. Nobody needs the Treaty of Paris as is. But the one that gets tricky here is the Statue of Liberty opens, and somebody has it, but not in this game. So I think we are totally safe to flip over with one of our reverse fates. The French arrive. The French do not arrive. Instead, they're destroyed. Newly arrived Allied troops suffer devastating defeat when British attack before French encampment is fortified. So that's going to flip this over, and this, and the Statue of Liberty. Instead, Steve here needs the Statue of Freedom to be built. This is good. This is very good. All right, here's the Dutch arriving in 1781. Ding. Oh, and I used a reverse fate, because here we are drawing 2 cards. All right. So, Dutch Arrive is good. America the Beautiful is halfway there. Let's see. And then the other one we have, here's the Boston Cake Riot. Steve needs that. Statue of Freedom. Wouldn't that be nice to get? We could get him home. Cuba Purchase. The Cuba Purchase. Nobody needs the Cuba Purchase. We can just throw it away and replace it. Cherokee Indians not removed. Time Walker needs that, so we got to hold on to it and maybe work towards that. Second war between the states begins. Ooh, Kevin needs that. Indian nation established and second war between the states begins. So these are the things we could work on. Boston Cake Riot. Let's see. Boston Cake Riot with Steve. Statue of Freedom. Alaska Purchase, 1867. That does that's from the Lewis and Clark expedition and from Maryland voting not to secede. But see, Dr. O'Reilly needs the Boston Tea Party, but it's easier to go back to something than it is once you get the patch down. You got to do it. So it's okay that Dr. O'Reilly needs the Boston Tea Party, and if we played the Boston Cake Ride, it just means we got to get Steve home before Dr. O'Reilly flips. We flip that back for him. So, in the interest of getting things out of our hands so that we can get new things, I'm going to play this reverse fate to flip over this tea tax, and that's going to cause the Boston Tea Party not to happen. However, there was still unrest, so instead there was a Boston Cake Riot. And we'll draw 2 more cards, back up to 5. Okay, so now Steve has to get home before Dr. O'Reilly. So here we have our new things we drew. Steel Plans is a limited inverter. It only works to flip over these particular linchpins in these particular directions. So it's all real history to alternate. The French, we already did that. DC, we already did that. The only other one it flips is Rebels Retreat here. And we can check on that for later. Does anybody, because ideally we would be able to use our cards very efficiently. And so even though it might not hurt us too much to throw this away because we need certain patches, but it'd be better if we could use it. So Rebels Retreat is the only other thing this can change. 1864, Sherman's March to the Sea, and that's a singleton, and nobody needs that in particular, but it also flips Reconstruction Begins, and Kevin does need that, but it will take both of those to flip over. Now, later we are going to have to flip this other one, Maryland votes not to secede, probably. But just for now, let's go ahead and flip Rebels Retreat with this specialized inverter. Rebels Advance. It's going to flip Sherman's March to the Sea. No one needs that, so we're fine. It's not going to flip this one yet because this one is an and. It requires both this linchpin and that linchpin to flip before it will paradox. But we can draw another card that gets... so what else did we draw? Cherokee Indians not removed. Time Walker needs that. USA Reunited is the new one. So obviously this has something to do with that Civil War. But although it's certainly related to the South winning the Civil War, because you can't reunite until you've ununited, no one actually needs this particular patch. So we will throw it away and draw another card. A Reverse Fate. That is promising. So what are our patches here? We have Second War Between the States begins, and that's Kevin. He's got his Reconstruction. It's still in place. That's his regular history. Does anybody else need the Second War Between the States? No, but he does need it. Cherokee Indians not removed. Time Walker needs that one. Declaration of Independence is his true history. So we have 3 Reverse Fates. Do we want to start? Second War Between the States is 1898. It's very easy to flip, but we have to use shots fired at Lexington to flip it over. And this one will mess up Time Walker. So if we flip this over, the Declaration of Independence, if we flip over shots fired at Lexington, it'll flip the Declaration of Independence. Means Time Walker will have to wait until after, this one's for Kevin, until after Kevin gets home. So right now, these people who are lower, I made a little note because they kind of have to go home earlier. So if we go for this one, then Kevin's going to have to get home before Time Walker. And this one, and of course, this patch is for Time Walker, and this one is for Kevin. So we kind of have to decide which are we going for first. Well, which is going to mess up fewer people. Shots fired. Lexington does this one, and these two, so that allows the Second War Between the States. And the other one it flips is the Panama Canal. So this person also needs, this would also block Maria because she also needs this one to remain blue for her work begins on the Panama Canal. And that would also flip if we did the shots fired at Lexington. So that's 2 people that it would block if we went for Kevin's. If we went for Time Walker, Cherokee Indians not removed and keeping Declaration of Independence in place, 1838, it looks like it's only 1 linchpin, so that's going to be Battle of New Orleans. And so we're going to stop the Trail of Tears. What else is going to change? The Massacre at Wounded Knee. Now this one doesn't flip very easily, and nobody is blocked by it. So I think that's the least dangerous way to go. We're going to flip over the Battle of New Orleans, which is going to flip, with this paradox, we're going to flip the Trail of Tears. And the other thing that depends on this is the Massacre at Wounded Knee, which does not, it's an and, so it doesn't flip. Oh, both of them are flipped over. So it will flip over, and that's okay. We want that. Nobody wanted blue. It's fine. We're going to paradox it. So we used up that Reverse Fate. We're going to play 1838. Cherokee Indians not removed. That's excellent. We can draw 2 more cards, back up to 5. Ooh, there's Indian Nation established. 1890. Oh my gosh. All right. So we did the right thing. Look, Time Walker can go home. Oops. I'm so excited. He's got his Declaration of Independence. Cherokee Indians not removed. Indian Nation established, and he goes home. Yay! And then also, who were we also working on? It wasn't Kevin. It was Cherokee Well, I guess that was it, but Second War Between the States, wow, we got his second thing right away. This one, America the Beautiful, South wins Civil War. Nope, Second War Between the States begins. Somebody has that. This is the one for Kevin. Oh, so now that we have Time Walker home, he needed the Declaration of Independence, but he's the only one that needed that. So that means if we want, we can flip it back, and it means that we can get rid of this one and get Kevin's Second War Between the States. Oh, wait, there was someone else who needed this Declaration. She needed Work Begins on the Panama Canal, Maria did. And it's going to flip over. But we have Kevin's patch, so maybe we should just get him home, because he's got this one in place already. So this is a little risky. We'll just have to flip her back again. Work Begins on Panama Canal. And as I said, it's better to go back to regular history, because once you let go of that patch, you can never get it again, but you can always go back to regular history. So let's use this inverter to flip over shots fired at Lexington to be Concord Armory quietly seized. Basically that stops Paul Revere's ride. So they caught us by surprise. So it's going to flip over, since these are both ors, it's going to flip both of these over. There's the reverse fate that we played, and we'll draw to replace it. And we're all set up now. We set up Kevin here. Second War Between the States. We have his patch, 1898. I think he can go home. Check it out. Reconstruction begins. Indian nation established. Second War Between the States begins. Wow, that's excellent. 3 people home. And we can draw to replace that patch. So now, what do we get? We got a bunch of limited inverters. So here is the inverter suppress information, which we could have used to do the Concord Armory. In fact, we should have used that one. It also could be, no, we've already done the French. But we haven't flipped the Louisiana Purchase. We can see if we need that. We've already done Battle of New Orleans. No, this would flip the Battle of New Orleans back again. I don't think anybody needs that, so we shouldn't bother. The Rebels Advance, we've already flipped that one. So the only thing that would be useful that we could do on this that's not currently already flipped is to change the Louisiana Purchase. Now, we do have someone who actually needs the Alaska. Oh, the Alaska Purchase is true history, but that wouldn't flip right away. But does anybody actually need these things to be flipped? Let's see. 1804. Nope, nobody needs that patched. And then the other one, because we could just throw away this inverter if it's not useful to us. 1848, California Gold Rush. I feel like that's on several. California Gold War. And that's hard to flip. We're going to have to flip both of them sooner or later to get that for Maria. Now we can, and we do have Maria's other thing, which is British surrender at New Amsterdam. We have that patch. And actually, you know what? We can play it right now. So let's just play it. Here's Garfield Lives. Somebody wants that. Yep, Dr. O'Reilly. He's in theory the one who saved, in the alternate history, saved the president. So let's see. So now we're looking at possibly getting Maria home, because if we flip back Work Begins on the Panama Canal, then she'll just be able to go home. Oh, no, we need her Gold War. So that would be the Louisiana Purchase. Right, we were considering using this inverter to flip the Louisiana Purchase. 1804 is not needed, but we will need it for her. And there's 3 things. What's the other one? 67. Alaska Purchase. Steve needs the Alaska Purchase. His Boston Cake Riot is in place, and we can't flip the French back again until we get him home. But do we need to flip the French back again is the question, and I'm not sure we do. So we also have our generic reverse fate, and we have a halt attack as well. So we would like to flip something back. We would like to flip back this one. Nope. Halt attack flips this one the other way. And these are, nope, this one flips this the other way. New Orleans halted. This flipped the French back again, but I think we just determined that we don't need to flip the French back again. We could change the Alamo. That's needed for the Gold War. That'll also mess up Texas gains statehood, but nobody needs Texas gains statehood. So let's go ahead and use this specialized halt attack to flip over the Battle of the Alamo, because it's not going to mess anybody up. It's only going to get people closer. This one is going to flip this one, Texas statehood. Here's our hand, Texas statehood. And then this one requires both, and that's the one we actually are looking for. But that was our halt attack, so let's draw another card. Oh, look at all our specialized inverters. We've seen them all now. Halt attack, start a fight, sway voting, and suppress information. So let's see. Start a fight is start a fight is like the opposite of halt attack, sort of. But we could use this to flip Lexington here back again. And I think that's gonna flip 70. It's going to give us back Jim. Jim will be able to do this. Southwind Civil War. He needs Dutch arrive. His patch is in place, but we need his regular thing back again. But are there any other linchpins? Second war between the states. Nobody still needs this patch. That's the only one that's going to go away. So let's use this to start a fight. We are going to flip this back again. Here we go. And that's going to flip this back. And it's going to flip this back. Oh, wait. Yep. And the patch goes... Oh, so we used up our inverter, and this patch is going to go away. And this is going to flip back. Work begins on the Panama Canal. So that means Maria is closer. We're down to 4 cards again from that inverter. So let's see. So Jim has his Declaration of Independence, his Dutch arrive. He's just waiting for the South wins the Civil War, which happens here. And well, we don't have that patch. Let's not worry about it. Let's see. So he's partway there. Maria has the British surrender. And the Gold War, we haven't got that patch, but her Panama Canal is back. Boston Tea Party, well, he's waiting because Steve has his cake riot in place. Alaska Purchase, Boston Cake Riot, Statue of Freedom, 1886. We are looking for that Statue of Freedom for him. Sway voting is going to be useful to change this. We're not going to be able to... We need this because Southwind Civil War. We don't need this. We could use any inverter. Suppress information is very specialized. We really need some more patches. I'm going to throw away this specialized inverter because it's annoying, and we're going to see if we can get a patch we need. Oh, it's a restore history, which is sort of it's limited, but it turns any alternate history back to regular history. The question is, we're not doing that right now. What we really need, well, here's our patch. This is the only patch we have that plays. Garfield dies, and that's all about saving Dr. O'Reilly from the Chicago fire. Now, Garfield lives. The thing is, Dr. O'Reilly is currently blocked by the Boston Cake Riot. And the thing is, Jeremiah needs Garfield dies. Texas Uprising. So it's still in the deck here, we could get it. Texas Uprising, Garfield dies, America the Beautiful. Garfield lives. So let's throw away... hate throwing away... Well, we have some... Let's see. Alaska Purchase is there. The Cake Riot, Statue of Freedom. We're waiting for that patch. Boston Tea Party needs to be flipped back, but we need that Cake Riot first. DC Stays Square is all ready to go. We just need the patch. Garfield lives. We have it, but he can't go home because of the Cake Riot. New Amsterdam is good. Gold War. We're waiting for the Gold War, but we could do something to work on it. Panama Canal is good. A Declaration of Independence is good. Dutch Arrive is in place. South Winds, we're waiting for that patch. Texas, we're waiting for that patch. Garfield's currently dead, and America the Beautiful is in place, so we want him to go home. So what we can work on right now is getting this Gold War, even though we don't have the patch. So do any of these work on that? I don't think they do. This is the Louisiana Purchase. So that's here in 1848, the California Gold Rush. This is an and, so we've got half of it flipped with the Alamo, and we have to flip the other half. The question is anything else is it gonna mess anybody else up? And the answer is no one needs Lewis and Clark. Who needs them? There'll be somebody else who'll explore, I'm sure. And then 1804, 1848, and 1867. Alaska Purchase. This requires both of them, so it won't flip, so it's not going to mess Steve up. So let's go ahead and flip it. Oops, not with the patch. Flip it with the reverse fate. Louisiana Purchase flips, and that's going to cause the Lewis and Clark expedition to paradox. This one does not yet paradox because it's an and. That's good. We need it. And it's going to flip the California Gold Rush. We don't have the patch yet, but we might get it. Come on, baby. Oh, it's the California Gold War. We're going to patch that. And I think that lets someone go home. Here it is. Maria, British surrender at New Amsterdam, California Gold War, work begins in the Panama Canal. That's amazing. Oh, we're so close. This is going really well. All right, we can draw another card. DC stay square. O'Reilly needs that. Everything's lined up for Dr. O'Reilly except his Boston Tea Party. We really need that Statue of Freedom because we can't switch it back to Dr. O'Reilly's regular history because we'll lose. We have to get Steve home first. All right, so sway voting and restore history will both bring back the Boston Tea Party. What else? Dutch arrive. South wins the Civil War. Sway voting. Well, I think so. We could use this sway voting. We have two things that they're going to use it for. Restore history is also useful to switch things back, but the sway voting's a little more limited. We need DC stay square. Oh, here's the great thing. Look, DC stay square can be played right now, and that gives us the opportunity to draw. Russia buys Louisiana territory. Nobody needs this. All right. Texas uprising. Somebody needs that. Jeremiah needs that. Okay. Garfield dies. Texas uprising. 1845. So we can play this, and Jeremiah can go home. Texas uprising provokes war. Garfield dies. America the Beautiful. All right, so we got Jeremiah home. That's very exciting. And we can draw another card. And let's see, it's another specialized one. I don't think we've seen Spread Rumors. So right now, we just have 3 people to get home. We need to get the Statue of Freedom built so Steve can get out of the way and stop blocking Dr. O'Reilly with his Boston Tea Party. Jim got his things in place. Dutch arrive. He just needs the South wins the Civil War, so we're just waiting on his patch. South wins the Civil War. Well, once we get his patch, we're going to need to flip this. When we flip this, something else is going to change. The Alaska Purchase. So Steve, if we start working on Jim, if we flip this Maryland secedes, then we will block Steve. So let's not do that. Let's ditch Spread Rumors and see what we get here. That's another reverse fate. You know, sometimes it gets down to the end of the game and you don't have enough reverse fates. But what we really are looking for is some very specific patches. So I'm going to throw away this sway voting. And I've got articles as amended. Nobody needs the articles as amended. South wins Civil War. Ooh, oh no! We can't put that in place because if we do that, declaration, Reconstruction begins. In order to do this, we have to flip this. And it will change this. Now, this is an and it's the second one. So New Orleans Purchase, if we flip the New Orleans Purchase back again, then Alaska Purchase will stay in place for Steve, and we can work on Jim without messing up Steve. But is it going to mess up someone else if we flip the New Orleans Purchase? I think everybody got home who needed that. That was the California Gold War. And nobody wants this one either way. And the other one is this. So let's use our restore history to change things back again. We're going to flip the New Orleans Purchase the other way. It's going to bring back Lewis and Clark. And it's going to get rid of the California Gold War. And we can draw another card. Statue of Freedom built. Ooh, Steve needs that. It's 1886. We're going to play it. We're going to draw another card. He's got his Boston Cake Riot. He's got his Alaska Purchase. And he's got his Statue of Freedom. He goes home. Oh my goodness, look at this. And so now we can, here's Appeal to World Opinion. Nobody needs that. Italy's March to DC. I think we have everything we need. We just have to flip some things back again and patch some things. So, do we have enough inverters to do this? We need one to flip the Boston Tea Party back. We don't have enough inverters. So, we need one inverter to flip the Boston Tea Party back. Just takes one all on its own. And in order to play Garfield Lives, we need another inverter for that. And that's for Dr. O'Reilly. And to play The South Wins the Civil War, gosh, you know what? No, we still would have been messed up. Like maybe we shouldn't have bothered to flip the Louisiana Purchase back again, because that was just to buffer the Alaska Purchase. So, and we need a whole nother one. We need 3 reverse fates, and we only have 2. So I think we're gonna have to leave Dr. O'Reilly home. We're gonna flip, because he's got 2 things. Garfield Lives. Well, Dutch Arrive, Southwinds. Well, let's get Jim home. Declaration Independent, Dutch Arrive. Reverse fate on Maryland votes not to secede. That's gonna not flip this because we buffered it. And maybe we shouldn't have bothered, but then we would have had to throw something else away. So I don't think it would have worked. So we flipped this. It's gonna flip Reconstruction, both of those. It's gonna flip these back again. Doesn't matter. We used up our reverse fate. We were going to play South Wins the Civil War, and Jim is going to get to go home. South Wins the Civil War, Dutch Arrive, and the Declaration of Independence. And so then the problem is that we have Dr. O'Reilly, poor Dr. O'Reilly. We have his patch, but we need an inverter to make it playable, and we need an inverter to get his regular history back again. So we're 1 inverter short, and that's the end of our game. Thanks for watching, and thanks for playing our games. You can't win them all, but boy, it was exciting trying.